Well, hello again. I'm Nia, and welcome to Project Management with Nia. So, in my last video, we talked about the number one reason why projects fail: poor communication. And I shared two simple questions that you could ask your team to uncover risks and build trust. Quick check in here. Did you ask your team those two questions? And if so, I love to hear how it went. Drop your experiences in the comments below because your stories might just help someone else who is watching this. Because again, this is a community that we are helping to build with each other and to learn from each other. So if you did ask your team, be sure to drop it in the comments below. And like I said, your stories will might help somebody else who's watching. So now here's why that matters. Communication problems don't just show up halfway through a project. They usually start right at the beginning, and that's why today we're focusing on one of the most overlooked critical steps in any project: the kickoff. So, my name is Nia, and after 15 years of leading IT and business transformation projects, I've seen over and over how the kickoff isn't just another meeting. It's the single most important meeting you'll have, and if you get it right, the rest of the project flows. If you skip it, you'll spend months putting out fires. So, why does the kickoff matter? Think of the kickoff as like a team that huddles before a game. I'm a football mom, so my son plays football, and so I'm always thinking about things in football because we're in football season. So if you think of it as a team that's in huddle before a game, it's where you align everyone on why the project matters. You're building early momentum for the project, and you're creating trust between leadership and the team. Now, when you kick it back to the questions that we covered in the last video, you can spot issues early and set the right tone for success. Now, kickoffs must be one big question, which they off answer the one question: why are we doing this project? Instead of saying, okay, we're implementing new software, say we're reducing payroll by 40% so our employees get paid correctly and on time. When people understand the outcomes, they understand why the work matters. So I always make a habit of making sure that I tell my team our vision, kind of like our goal. What is the goal of this project? And I always say it throughout the project life cycle, no matter where we're at, because it just reminds our team why we're doing this project and why it matters and why it's important, because we can get lost in all the steps of a project. So if you ever been in a kickoff where the goals weren't clear, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear how it played out for you, and then again, letting other people to learn from what you did. So if you've ever been in a kickoff where the goals were not clear, please let me know in the comments below. Now, one of the biggest sources of miscommunication is unclear ownership. Kickoffs are the time to fix that. I use like a simple RACI chart, which the RACI chart is responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. So responsible mean who does the work, who's doing the work, who's responsible for doing that actual work. Accountable means who makes the decisions. Consulted, who gives input. Informed, who needs to get updates. So if you clarify this early, and you'll prevent a ton of back and forth, trust me, you'll prevent a ton of back and forth later. So now in the first video, I encourage you to ask your team, what risks do you see? And what do you need from me? The kickoff is the perfect place to do this. Risks don't suddenly appear mid-project. They're there on day one. So capturing them in a simple risk log, risk owner mitigation, that's it. So what I will say is, if you can comment below with one risk that always seems to pop up in your projects, I would love to hear what risk that you all have. And I'll feature a video in the future on some of those risks and how we can mitigate those risks. But be sure to comment below with at least one risk that seems to pop up in your projects, no matter if it's what type of project it is, whether it's in IT, healthcare, construction, doesn't matter. Whatever project you're working on, if it's a risk, comment below. So, a kickoff isn't just about slides and schedules, it's also about setting energy. If people leave the room bored, you've lost momentum. You always want to end strong by asking your team the two questions from last time. And again, if you tried them this week, drop a comment about what you heard. Your experience could also help another PM watching this right now. So I'm really curious as to what is some of the risks that you've all seen in projects. Be sure to comment below. And what, when you're talking to your team, what is some of the things that you've asked them, that you roadblocks that you've been able to help? Comment below. So I just want to kind of recap. Projects fail when communications break down. It's just really simple. If the communication is lackluster or is not there to begin with, that project is going to struggle. And I'm not saying that if you have the greatest communication and everything project planned, everything out to the T, that there's not going to be issues, because it will. It will. But if you have your communication strategies in place, and so when risks do come up, you're able to tackle those, you'll be more successful in that project. A strong kickoff prevents that by clarifying goals, we're defining roles and surfacing risks early. If you're able to clarify your goals, then your team is more on board, or your leadership is more on board of why this project is important, and especially your team on how we're going to get this project done and why it's so important to complete this project. If we're defining our roles, then we understand what is needed from everyone. Now, as a project manager, it is not to say that you're going to wear multiple hats, because there is always things that you're going to be doing, whether that's um, chasing your development team to get those project updates and making sure that they were done, taking that back to the stakeholders to provide updates and where we're at with the project team, or even reaching out to finance and making sure that we have that those budgets and who's charged to the team and why they've charged to the team, that you may have to take that back to your team. But if you're defining roles early in your kickoff, then you are setting yourself up for project success. And also surfacing those risks early. If we can call out risk early from the beginning, and then that allows us to get a chance to mitigate, put a plan if that risk was to happen. Now, understand that you will not be able to prepare for all risk in advance, but that's just the way that life goes. But if you are able to call out multiple risks, then that'll allow you to be able to get different plans in place early, which will also help you to be successful with the project. And when you ask the right questions with your teams or your stakeholders, leadership, your client, you're building trust and momentum that will last. And building trust and momentum, that is important to being having a successful project. Now, if you did miss my first video on why projects fail, I'll link it here so that you can catch up. And don't forget to subscribe for weekly tips that make project management simple and less stressful. Again, I am Nia, and this is Project Management with Nia. Thank you for joining. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what's the best or worst kickoff you've ever been a part of? Let's learn from each other. Let's level up project management and stress down together. Thank you for joining, and have a good day.